Egemen,
Hello.
hello.
Hey there.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
How are you today, my dear?
Quite well. I was sick for the week, but I think I'm getting better.
Yeah.
So it's all good, pretty much. I'm just saying for my voice to say sorry.
It's cool. It's cool. So this channel is about the people of Amsterdam.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So how do they end up in Amsterdam? What do they do here? Do they like the city? And what do they think about it? So you live in the city for 3 years almost, right?
It's 2 years.
2 years,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
plastic. And then okay, so I really wanna hear your story because I really find it really interesting, successful story.
Thank you.
Most
Sorry,
most
you're so nice.
importantly, yeah, it is. And why don't you tell us, starting, your background, who you are, how did you end up in Amsterdam, this beautiful city, and become a part of this citizen?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So my name is Egemen. I'm from Turkey originally, Istanbul. I born and grew there until initially I went abroad for Erasmus. So I did Erasmus really tiny village called Athlone, which is like Ireland.
In Ireland.
Yeah. Then I really enjoy my time there, especially with education and studying abroad. And then I decided to go for adventure. That's how I end up, when I was 22, I end up in Dublin for studying for master, then become PhD. I spent 4 years and a half there in Dublin.
Yeah.
I finished my doctoral degree in the University College Dublin.
About
Computer science.
Computer science.
Yeah, distributed system. Specifically, it's data-intensive distributed systems. I can detail later on if you are interested.
A little bit, if you can
Yeah,
detail
okay,
a little
sure.
bit, just for a person who never understood anything about it. Let's say,
I will try my best. So basically, you are working with a bunch of computers these days without realizing, or you don't.
Yeah.
And for instance, you put your data, right? You have photos that you upload to Google Drive. You have photos, I don't know, you have music you fetch from Spotify, all those platforms. So basically, when you have data, we need to store your data. We need to serve your data from the closest to you. And there are a couple of different problems to there. Is one of them is how many replicas should we keep? Replica is copy of your data. So when you upload your file, when you upload your data to the platform, and basically they keep couple of copy of your data, because given you are working with many computers, any of them can be done for any second for whatever reasons. Could be hardware, it could be software, it could be even configuration. Some of the companies are managing big computers, could be even done because of they configure something bad. So even in that scenario, they need to start serving your data. And what I was working on is I was focusing on how many replicas should I keep, and also how we should place those, because we have thousands of computers that we can select. And also once you become more popular, let's say, and we keep more copy of you, and then which next computer should I select as a where should I place your data? So that's more or less my topic about.
Yeah.
And I work with big companies. They sponsor the project.
Oh, they sponsored the project.
Pardon?
They also sponsored the project.
Yeah, it was sponsored by IBM. I think I can say it's IBM Research Ireland sponsored the project.
Oh, that's cool.
From start to the end.
So, what do you mean exactly by sponsoring? They're sponsoring your stay, I guess.
So I did study abroad. So basically, in Dublin, you need to pay for your fee, your scholar fee, and they pay for it. Also, they give some bit of stipend, a scholarship, to allow you to stay there, study, and you can just focus what you're passionate about rather than thinking for economical details, which is super nice for PhD.
Yeah, it is super nice.
Any PhD should be that way, because you're devoted, you're interested in what you are doing.
Absolutely.
You should not think about that. So it was super nice on that point. I feel super lucky and privileged to have that.
Yeah.
I spent 4 years and a half. And once I think COVID was kind of getting started, I stuck in Istanbul, that I was writing the thesis in Istanbul. It was a funny story. And
around 2021, you mean?
2020, I think. 2020 March, it started. So I was actually in Korea.
Yeah.
I was doing my last presentation for my degree,
Uh-huh.
one of them. And once I was doing that, is like whole outbreak started, and it was I
Yeah.
almost stuck there in Japan after the Korea.
Yeah.
But I luckily made to Istanbul that I wrote thesis
The
there.
last plane.
Yes, pretty much actually. Yeah. Like I fly to I fly to Korea,
Yeah.
and there was like only 7 people were sick. And once I was leaving, it was like, I don't know, 10,000, maybe like 8,000. I don't remember the full number, but it's really exponentially increased. And it was funny because at some point I wake up is like, because I stop over from Turkey, and I heard like from my mom actually, and she said like, "Oh, Egemen, like whole flights are canceled to the Korea because my return tickets from the Korea, that I need to change it from like Korea to Japan. I could able to come back home, which I was quite lucky. Whatever, it's a different story. What else? Yeah, like I went back to the Dublin to finish degree, the presentation. Once I was finishing it, I get in touch with this ed tech company called Criteo. It's they're Paris based.
So that was
Advertising
your first
technology.
assignment, I guess, right?
Yes, quite. I mean, I did
In your
work.
career.
I actually worked like in my last year of the university. I worked for a year in a company called Beko Arçelik for a year, but it was more like a 3 days job. It was kind of like part time. I was coding actually, but it was kind of it was starting job. That I would say is the first time. This Krito is more like a proper one, I would say. It's,
Yeah.
And yeah, that was in Paris. So I relocated to Paris
Yeah.
after the Dublin. It was interesting because I didn't speak any French before
Of course.
at all.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
It was a quite challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I survived because like I basically have no French skill when I got there. The company was happy to help, but I'm extremely bad with learning languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, it take ages for me to learn. I'm like really a mathematical brain than the like language one.
Yeah. But it must be a little bit like, how was the feeling like when you were there in France, just to like mingling with people, you know?
It was hard to me, like for multiple reasons. Like for 3, I will say the very first one is the language. If you don't speak French, you're kind of hard to fit in. That was my experience so far. And the people were actually nice, but like they expect you to learn or like switch to French at some point, which was not easy thing for most of the people because another language, another culture. And also Paris is a bit like Istanbul in a sense that like, for instance, in Istanbul, you grow in like certain circles, like you study in the certain primary school, then high school, then university. So you always have the friends.
Yeah.
And from those social circles. Paris is exactly like that. So people have friends from, I don't know.
Childhood.
Exactly, childhood, or like they do some sports that they get in touch. But in general, it's hard to enter the society and the circle because you're not part of it. And especially you came from abroad, which is like extremely harder.
Yeah, of course, you felt outside. Yeah, I can understand, you know, to a certain level. Yeah, but like I was expecting from Paris, it's like another international city, like a little bit more welcoming. But you're saying like it wasn't like that.
I will say compared to Netherlands, it's not like
it's
that
not
at
like
all.
that.
No.
Okay.
Like Paris is more closed, but I was lucky. I mean, the people that I work with, they were nice. We were going out a couple of times. I mean, not a couple of times, like maybe once in a week. And also had some other friends through the company, but not in the same place that we work. Sometimes we hang out with them and go for drinks, and that was like
borrele.
Pardon?
Borrele. That we say in the Netherlands. Okay, right. And then you decided to, you know.
Actually, it's like I moved to Paris, so I had this. I need to work there for a bit of time because I did relocation through the company, and I think I was not expecting to actually, like, I always wanted to live in Netherlands, especially like Amsterdam. It's a lovely city.
Yeah.
But I almost never interviewed for Amsterdam, I think. I think the current company I work at was my like second interview in the Netherlands. And luckily, I was quite lucky in a sense that someone reached out to me as a recruiter, said like, I was already looking for a job, but I didn't thought for this company. And like someone reached out to me saying like, oh, are you interested to go into the loop of interviews? And I said like, yeah, let's do it, because I was already getting some pace with the interviewing skill of mine. And it was a great chance to actually someone reach out to me at this very same time that I was looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, then I moved to here, which is, it has been like 2 years. I moved here like 20, wait, I'm super bad with 2023 March. And now it's becoming 2 years. I'm quite happy with my life here. Dutch people are absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
They're welcoming. Yeah. Compared to my previous experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it's quite happy to live here so far.
Yeah.
And
that's why we love the city, right?
yeah, it's quite nice actually. I mean, if you remember, I was complaining you at the road like I'm so get used to this like biking and travel through like commutes with bikes.
Yeah.
I always love. I mean, then I feel like when I travel through the car via car, I feel claustrophobic. Like I feel like.
Oh, you felt claustrophobic in the car?
I mean, not claustrophobic, but it's like I feel annoyed, especially if there's a traffic. And it's funny because I grew up in Istanbul and it's a big city, and you know, there's always a traffic. But now I just like, thanks to I think the living in the Amsterdam,
you get so used to it, right? Like it's the
totally.
biking and everything. It feels so free.
Definitely, like from my home to work, I travel like 12 minutes with the bike.
Oh, that's awesome.
12, 13, I think. And anywhere, maximum distance will be like 25, 30 minutes with the bike, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like from one side to the other side of Amsterdam. It's
And-
quite
and-
privileged to live here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just drove from your place to here to Haag, in a traffic, and you were like, oh shit, there's a traffic.
yeah. It's well, even though I grow with it, it feels
Istanbul,
it's
right?
annoying.
Yeah, exactly. The same feeling here. So you get so used to it, and you're like,
Totally. I'm in university. I was traveling like 1 hour 40 minutes each way. So I was traveling with the bus for like 1 hour 15 minutes. Then I was taking metro from there to the university. It's like another 20, 30
Crazy,
minutes
right?
solid. Yeah, it's like 1 hour 40 minutes every day, like each side.
super inefficient way of living.
Yeah, but I think I paid my traffic once I was living in Amsterdam. So sorry, in Istanbul.
In Istanbul, yeah, exactly. Same here. So, like, again, how about the okay? So let's say, I just wanna, enter the business that you're doing right now, the career, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a lot of like a selection process going on through that, right? Through that way, like being selected to have a PhD program, or being selected or being hired by a large company to work as in like a computer scientist or like a software developer, whatever you call yourself, right? So how would you describe that road that you take yourself, right? And how hard was it for you? And like, which skills did you develop in time, in your own opinion? How did you get it there? Is it only just, okay, I was so really good at coding and that's just fixed my all problems? Or just like, okay, I did this, I did that, I approached to this person, I talked to this person, I get a lot of like lessons, I upgraded my CV and this and that. Like how would anyone do a similar career that you did so far? How would you summarize that?
So there's different ways, of course, different roads for sure. And I come from like academic background. I I did undergrad and postgrad, etc. So I come from a bit like university path, and there's actually other paths which people are not aware, like boot camps and etc. Like you don't need to actually have a degree to work in tech. It totally is like you don't need that at all. Maybe it's a bit like harder in a sense of conversions, like how hard you converge to the workforce. But there's definitely a like way, especially there's like some universities, they do conversion master, which is basically your undergrad is different subject. Could be like, I don't know, music. It could be like totally out of field.
Music.
Yeah, not joking. And then actually
From piano teacher, you become like a software engineer.
there is
Such a change, such a change. I would say.
In in the Dublin University College Dublin has this program called Conversion Masters. So basically they were trying to teach that's like basics of the computer science, and I think it's quite valuable in a sense that because you learn, like you have this mindset that you will develop over years, and now you are learning computer science, and there is intersection.
Yeah.
And there's obviously, there are different fields, right? So, but
Yeah.
there's intersection. And I think, especially if you are willing to do research, and I think that quite interesting to be in that position.
Yeah.
Especially like, I don't know, like I know some people, they had some background in like linguistics, like the language.
Yeah, I heard a similar thing. Yeah. You know, if you have some education with linguistics, like if you know how to read some like the different languages and stuff like that, so you could be a little bit better fitting to.
It's kind of like becomes your superpower, kinda. So it's nice to go through that route as well. That's what I'm highlighting. But that wasn't my experience. I met some people, they have experience on, but my experience more like coming from like undergrad than the like postgrad, etc. And once I was finishing the degree, I joined the Criteria because they had this. So I was working a software called, let's say, software framework called Hadoop. And
I heard Hadoop. Yeah,
Hadoop is like basically it's cluster. How should I put that? It's a software framework that has multiple things in it, of course.
How should I put that?
I'm just thinking because there's like 4 different things. There's one like distributed file system, basically how we are going to store the data. The other part is resource manager, is like how we are going to process your data.
Yeah.
Like where you're going to schedule it, etc. And there's also like MapReduce, which is basically like a paradigm. Again, I'm not going so much, but I'm just want to give the taste.
Of course.
As I was working with the HDFS, so Criteo has one of the biggest, maybe even the biggest in the Europe, the Hadoop cluster. And so then it was like a good match in a sense that I was already working on that framework software. I touched the source code, I did some changes, tested, etc. So it was easier for me to go through the interview loop. But interview loop is totally different than like work itself, slightly. And also
by interview loop, do you mean like interview process or?
Yeah. So it's like in general what you do for any tech company is that you do screening, and in general for that one you still need to code, like you write a code to solve a problem. Given for 45 1 hour minutes.
45 minutes.
45 minutes or 1 hour.
Oh my god.
So it could be any question. There's a quite different question. For instance, it could be, I don't know. I'm just trying to remember the questions that can like ask. I don't know. It could be like binary search. So basically, like finding a number in an array. Or it could be, I don't know, rotated binary search. There's like different questions. Actually, there's a platform called LeetCode that has like all those questions. I think it has more than 4,000 questions, maybe like 3,000. I don't remember the full number. And basically, in interview, you can get any of those, a coding interview. In general, you get 1 to 2. Actually, you can get 3 as well. Depends on company. Through this loop. Initially, first 2, you do it like offsite, which is basically you do it like each 1 hour and 2 different time. And if you pass these 2, in general, you will be invited to the on-site, which you call on-site, and you do back-to-back 4-5 interviews.
And how many interviews did you code, let's say, on average? Like you did 3 interviews, like hardcore coding.
You need to code, like you code because you want to, you have question, like and then you solve that question, then you implement that to see it's working.
Okay. So you're just not only coding and just living as
no. You actually solve a problem. You solve a problem, then you code to, like you generalize that problem, then you code something that solves all type of that kind of problem. For instance, I just try to remember, but I have bad memories. Like there are a bunch of questions. I just try to remember, which I couldn't.
It really doesn't matter.
Like for instance, there are well-known questions like breadth first search or depth first search. Basically, this is like how you traverse trees. So there's like trees, like one of the core data structures in computer science.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, everyone has like parent or the sibling or
Yeah.
like child, and basically this is like this two and goes like that. Like it's you see it. Just imagine on your.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine.
We can put it on the video. And
Yeah,
we
I
will
wish we
have
could,
bigger,
but we can't do it right now.
so it's kind of like
impossible.
this, then
Yeah.
like that, then
Yeah.
like that, and basically you write code to traverse that, and you are searching for something, or I don't know, for some values in that.
Yeah.
It's like there's like core data structure information. In general, that's what you ask for. You need to have good understanding of those, and also good understanding of basic algorithms. That's what it's asked in general. That's part of it. And as a like later on step, you will have also in like on-site, you will have system design interviews. Basically, they ask you like, I don't know, design youtube.com or design, I don't know, booking.com.
What?
Yeah, totally.
Like a whole new website from scratch.
It's like part of it. So for instance, in YouTube, what is the key
Probably I'm like,
procedures?
oh shit.
Function. No. Like you
What?
you upload the video.
I would
right?
leave the interview probably.
No, but like this is
And
kind
go.
of things you learn. It's not. So basically, there's like different templates that you learn over time,
Yeah.
and they expect you to apply that. For instance, there is something called asynchronous programming. Let's say. So the synchronous programming is basically like whenever I call you, you pick up the phone, right?
Yeah, I mean, generally,
So that's a synchronous. Well, I hope you pick up the call. So the synchronous conversation is basically what we do right now, right?
Yeah.
I talk to you, and then I listen you, and I talk to you again. And both we are in the same location and same place. But there's also asynchronous communication, which is basically you text a message, right? And then you can message anytime. Then you can write message back to me, etc. So they're like, yeah, that's like
WhatsApping, you mean?
it is like any messaging,
Kinda.
right? Like it's kind of letter as well, like because you don't need to be there, both of us at the same place, but we can take our time, and we can communicate in different times. That's called asynchronous asynchronous messaging, and that's, for instance, one template that you can show in the design interview that's
Wow.
to solve problem. Because, like for instance, I don't know, I'm just thinking to case. For instance, you are uploading a video, right? Then you do some processing on it. Let's say, I don't know, you fix all those red eyes, right? We have this in the old-time photos.
Yeah.
Whenever you take the photo, you have red eye. So that's like you do some image processing.
Yeah.
And you do it like asynchronously, because if the people wait for you, it will take so much time, maybe for you to process. And then they will be bothered because they're just like sitting on, checking on the screen, and, it's boring. So basically what you do is like you said that, okay, I get your data, I will process it. And once I'm done, I will get back to you.
Okay.
So it's kind of like we don't block you. It's
Yeah,
like,
different solutions for different problems, you mean?
Yeah, you have templates. Like that's what I was trying to show with
Yeah.
asynchronous programming, asynchronous messaging. So there's this kind of like things that you apply. And like that's in general you have like 4 interviews or 5.
But in your position right now, so you're working in a really well-known company, software
we can
company
say
right now.
booking.com.
Yeah, booking.com, right? So like in your position right now, so like how would you describe, like what kind of problems do you solve that like a person like me would understand what the hell are you're doing, right? Like in a basic way. How would you describe it?
My title is like site reliability engineer. I started as a SRE. I will call SRE starting from this on. So I'm a software engineer, but I have expertise or like domain knowledge within designing systems in a highly available and highly reliable way. Let's put that way.
Okay.
So you write your code, right? And then how we are going to run this code in which computer or like, I don't know, which systems that you use is part of my job. And also I work with the software.
You're deciding in which computers are we going to run this code in order to make sure that it's working efficiently and
or the platform itself, let's say, like for instance, then for instance, any big companies will have lots of computers. They run it all together.
Yeah.
And then these computers will be actually in different regions.
Right.
And any of the point of time, this, like for instance, there could be a fire in one data center, or it could be, I don't know,
Earthquake.
HVAC like basically climatization can fail or earthquake can happen. Like these will impact the computers, right? Also, I'm working on designing the systems or trying to forecast like once we move traffic from one data center to other, what things go wrong because you do like things can go wrong. And I also work in that sense is like trying to predict what will go wrong, as well as doing it like we just cut the connection or like take out the plug outlets and see how the system will react.
So you can solve all of these kind of problems by only coding.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
You code things to solve those problems.
Because I was kind of thinking, okay, so the thing that you're telling me is like kind of like it requires a lot of engineering knowledge as well. It's not only because you're still computer engineer. Oh my god! As you can see right here, right? Like that's my knowledge about computer engineering.
Like so see that like automation. See it is that like automation.
Yeah.
And things go wrong,
right?
And you start writing a code to fix those things. So obviously you will have understanding of the system, what kind of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Then you start writing, okay, if this go wrong, I will do this action.
Yeah.
So that's also coding, right? It's similar to you code for, I don't know, domain knowledge is like you code for, I don't know, people to book the web page and book the hotels. And the same knowledge applies to these computers, how they will react if something goes wrong.
Yeah. So Egemen, so we're almost time. Okay, so like I also want to hear your experience for Amsterdam too. So like you're really highly educated,
Thank you.
Like successful tech guy, right? So like how would you evaluate your life in Amsterdam? Like would you recommend to other people who wants to come to the city and live? Like what do you feel? What do you experience so far? How does it work out for you so far?
I think Amsterdam is great because people, like Dutch people, are lovely.
Yeah.
They are welcoming. And I think one of the most welcoming people that I ever met
I agree. Yeah.
In Europe. And that's like quite a plus. And also like people speak English quite well.
Yeah, right.
That's quite important.
It's quite important, yeah. And they want to speak English, most importantly.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they wouldn't bother with that, which is absolutely super nice. And people have lots of proficiencies in English, so they can speak quite well, actually, even better than me. Most of the people.
I mean,
and
way better than I am. Yeah, so
that's super nice.
Yeah,
and biking culture is a big thing for us.
Yeah, right. So cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Like that's like all the plus sides, right? There's also like tax benefits. Basically, there's something called 30% ruling.
Yeah, 30% ruling for really newcomers, right? Yeah.
Like I think really promotes Amsterdam compared to, compared to, Paris, London, Zurich, Berlin. Like they have all these tech industry, but like why would you go to Amsterdam instead of to Berlin? I think it's a really quite also, promoting. And that was an important decision.
And the things that you don't like.
Oh, there are quite a lot. I mean, life is about trade-off, right? So you select positives over negatives.
Yeah.
But negatives, easily I can count multiple things.
Yeah.
The weather is absolutely nightmare during winter time. It is worse. Like I live in Dublin. Dublin is in north, but it's not as bad as here. At least my experience, my feelings. The housing markets, I know like in Paris, housing market is always bad for renting, buying. Same London.
It's hard to find a house, right?
Yeah. But I think Amsterdam is in different level.
Yeah.
And people expect you to do overbid, which is, I never had that before in my life, which is sounds sad and nightmare, but that happens.
Yeah, because there's a huge demand. That's why. Yeah.
That's really bad. What else? I found... I don't know. It's
tell me.
The public transportation. Yeah. The public transportation is not the best. Sorry, folks, but like tramways are like.
You think
trams
so?
Is nice.
Yeah.
It's okay, but it's not. Compared to big cities, I took as like I don't know. That for instance, like metro, I think is not well developed here. That's my feeling.
First of all, I didn't understand if it's a metro. Like the only metro I know is this underground, but it's always above ground. And I was like a smaller type-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it could be underground or above ground. It's fine, but I just looking for like from A to the B. I wanted to use like a
Yeah.
railway system.
Hmm.
If you live in Amsterdam,
Uber is
you
nice. I
the-
prefer Uber,
Uber. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, in the city it's hard
especially
as
when
well
you're
because it's
drunk and it's raining. And
yeah, that's
you know.
biking is nice, but like, come on, it's hard to bike in the winter.
Yeah, it's not
That's
easy
my
to bike.
personal
That I
opinion.
completely agree. Like you need to have some fitness to it, especially if you're biking with a non-electrical bike, right? It's really, after a while, when you hit when the raindrops hitting you.
It's
becomes-
you need to have like a proper
Oh my God.
rain jacket,
Yeah.
rain how do you call the pants,
Yeah,
and then you need to like take it off when you arrive to the the place, I don't know, work or your
Uh-huh.
friend's house, wherever it is, and yeah, then you need to change, and yeah, it takes time and not the best, I think. And it could be better. I mean, I believe the
Yeah.
people of the Netherlands, especially the Amsterdam, they can build better metro system.
Okay, let me ask you a final question. Out of like on a scale of 10, right? How would you scale your life in Amsterdam so far?
Oh, in the winter time or in summer
No,
time?
general, and no winter, no summer. You
Yeah,
live here
it's
for
hard.
2 years.
It's hard. I mean,
What would
I
you
think we should do the separation of the time. It makes so much like changes.
No, it's
but
all-
like,
it's
if you
all
put it all
included.
together,
Yeah.
I would say 8, 7.5, 8, somewhere
Yeah,
between.
minimum 8.
8.
Yeah,
Not minimum, like 8. Because the winter is absolutely nightmare here. Like, I'm not big
I
fan.
get used to it. I mean, I'm fine.
I
now.
don't think I will
Yeah.
ever like. I mean, people were telling me jokes. The people were before telling me like, "Oh, I travel like 2 times, 3 times in winter."
Yeah,
like
you can travel. Yeah,
to me, it's like, why do you travel? Like, I mean, you travel to see places,
Yeah.
but I was not expecting you travel to see the sun.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm becoming one of them. It's funny things.
yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Okay, really cool, Egemen. I'm really happy that you joined the channel today.
Lovely. Thank you
It
so
was
much.
a lovely conversation together with you.
Likewise, it was super nice
Thank you, my
meeting
friend.
you and accepting me here.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, I'm wishing you all the best for the next podcasts.
Thank you.
Guess I think you have quite a few aligned,
Yeah,
quite interesting one.
yeah,
So I think it will be interesting one to see the next episode as well.
yeah. Thank you so much, brother.
Cheers, thanks a
Yeah.
lot.